Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a drugstore versus high-end makeup look. So one part of my face is all drugstore makeup and the other part is high-end. And I've been seeing your requests to do more affordable tutorials or incorporate more drugstore products. And so I thought this was the best way to see how drugstore products are holding up to high-end products or vice versa. Just because a product has a higher price tag doesn't mean that it performs better. But yeah, I do realize that throughout the past few years I've kind of laid off the drugstore products. I guess it's just because my entire life, like my high school life and then throughout college, I used more drugstore products, and now as I'm getting older, I kind of feel like, it's fun to experiment with more expensive products. But yeah, I went to Walmart and picked out a ton of drugstore products that I was interested in, and I was really surprised with the results. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of these, then I can definitely do more. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. This is the look that I created, and like I said, one side is drugstore and one side is high-end, and they look pretty similar to me, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I think I'm going to make my right side my drugstore side and then my left side my high-end side. So I'm going to start out with the Maybelline Master Prime Blur and Illuminate Primer. I've had this for a few months now. I can't remember why I purchased this. It just kind of intrigued me at the drugstore, and it actually is a really nice hydrating primer. It feels really nice and creamy on the skin, but it's not going to feel like one of those silicone primers. It doesn't have really that pore filling effect to it, but overall it's a pretty good primer if you like that hydrating feeling. The closest primer I have to that similar feeling is the NARS Oil-Free Primer. This is just their regular primer. I honestly like, I think, the Maybelline one better. This just feels really wet when I apply it. Like, do you guys see how shiny it is? And I honestly just don't really feel like it does much for my skin before I apply makeup. So, I mean, honestly, if I could pick between the two, I really like the Maybelline one better. For my drugstore foundation, I chose the Rimmel Lasting Finish 25-Hour Full Coverage Foundation. This is like super cheap. This was like $4.50 at Walmart, but I've seen a few people talk about this on YouTube. Emily Noel talked about this a lot. I think this is like an Emily Award winner. I think she said her mom wore this. A YouTuber I used to watch all the time, Lillian Macy, she doesn't make videos anymore. She used to wear this, so that's why I chose it. And for my high end, I went with the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra 24-Hour Makeup. And I got this from the Sephora VIB Rouge sale, and I've really been liking it for like an ultra full coverage foundation. So we're going to test these two out and see how they kind of play against each other. I'm starting out with the Rimmel Lasting Finish. This does not have a pump on it, so it's a little messy. I got mine in the shade Soft Beige. I do have a little bit of self-tan on right now. Seems like it might be a little dark, but we'll work with it. I swatched this on the back of my hand last night, and it seemed to have a pretty natural finish. Like, it didn't seem too matte or too dewy. So I always really enjoy foundations like that. It's applying really nicely to the skin. I mean, it's blending out, and it doesn't seem to be too apparent. Like, you can't see it on top of my skin. So that is good. So I think I actually really like this foundation. It seemed to have a nice medium coverage to it. The finish is really natural on it. Like I said, it's not too matte. But it's also not too dewy. And what's also interesting about both of these is that they both claim to be, this is a 24-hour wear and this is supposed to be a 25-hour wear. So that's why I thought they would be good to test out. So now I'm going to apply the Lancome to my high-end side. I feel like the Lancome one might be a little bit lighter than this one, but we'll even it out. I'm going to use a different foundation brush so I don't mix the two products together. So this is the same brush that I used for the drugstore side. It's just a brand new one. It hasn't been used. I cleaned it last night, and I'm just going to pump a little bit of the Lancome foundation on the back of my hand, and we're going to start buffing that in. Okay, right off the bat, I can tell that the Lancome foundation is a little bit more full coverage. It seems like I'm probably not going to have to use as much. This foundation has a beautiful finish, you guys, and this foundation definitely has more of like a satin finish to it. And I read reviews online on Sephora that a lot of people with oily skin, this was like their holy grail foundation. But you guys know I have super dry skin, and I've been testing this out for about a week now, and I really like this foundation. I mean, this foundation is just like really nice full coverage, but you don't see it like sitting on top of your skin, if that makes sense. These colors are actually, surprisingly, they match up. I don't know how, but they're looking pretty even to me. Okay, so all in all, comparing the two foundations, the Lancome Teint Idole, this is definitely more of a full coverage foundation upon first application. I think if you were to build the Rimmel foundation up just a little bit more, it would, you know, be equivalent to this coverage that I have on the high-end side. But overall, they're actually very similar. I would just say you're going to have to layer a little bit more of the Rimmel foundation if you do want a super full coverage look. The Rimmel foundation seems to be giving off more of a like highlighted look, whereas you can see on the Lancome side, it's a little bit more satin finish. But overall, I mean, I'm impressed with both of these. I think this would be a pretty good dupe for this, you know, if you're comparing this foundation I think is $49 and this foundation is $4.50. So now it's time for concealer, and I'm really excited to kind of compare these two. They actually look super similar as far as the packaging goes. So I have the Revlon Color Stay Concealer in the shade Light for my drugstore side, and then my bareSkin Serum Concealer in the shade Fair for my high-end side. And this concealer was about $10 at the drugstore. It was more of like a pricier concealer. I could have went with, you know, one from Rimmel, but this one, I've always heard that the Revlon Color Stay line is pretty full coverage and stays on nicely, so that's why I went with this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop a little bit of this on underneath my eyes. This color's a little bit more on the yellow side, and my bareSkin concealer is a little bit more on the pink side, so we may have to like fix that, but we'll see. So I'm just gonna apply about that much, and I think I'm gonna blend it out with my brush to begin with. It doesn't seem too shabby. I'm feeling a little bit of like a burning sensation under my eye right now. I don't really know why. There could be like just an ingredient in here that makes, you know, my skin's a little sensitive, but it's not hurting. I can just kind of feel a slight like tingling underneath my skin. But overall the coverage it's pretty good. I would say it's about a medium coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my bareSkin concealer, about the same amount, to my high-end side, and I'm going to blend it out with the different brush, and we'll see how they compare. So in comparison, I do feel like maybe my bareSkin concealer is a little bit more full coverage. I'm going to add a little bit more of the Revlon Color Stay just to kind of bump up the coverage a little bit. I'm going to use my beauty blender to blend it out and see if that makes a difference. My bareSkin concealer is also a little bit more on the dewy side. The Revlon Color Stay seems to be drying a little bit more into like a satin finish. So overall, those are the only two big comparisons I can see, or differences I can see, but they look good. I mean, the Revlon concealer did pretty good at concealing my under eyes and brightening, so yeah, I would say this is a pretty fair concealer. Alright, so I'm pretty excited about this because this is a drugstore product that I feel like everyone has talked about since I started YouTube, and I've never tried it before. It's the Rimmel Stay Matte Long-Lasting Pressed Powder, and I just got mine in the shade Transparent. I feel like this has been so many people's holy grail drugstore powder for like the longest time. So that's what I'm going to use for my drugstore side. I'm just going to pop a little bit of this on underneath my eye area. Also on my forehead. I'm just going to probably set my entire face just to see if that helps with the longevity of the foundation. For my high-end side, I'm using the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Press Powder. I love this stuff. It definitely does a great job of smoothing out your pores. But after I apply this Rimmel Stay Matte Powder, it honestly looks good on my skin. I mean, it looks nice and smooth. So, I don't know if I would say it's 100% an exact dupe for the Bye Bye Pores, but the main thing that I noticed is that I couldn't see it on my skin, which is a problem that I've had with drugstore powders in the past. So yeah, it seems pretty good. For my contour on my drugstore side, I'm using this new Rimmel Kate Moss contour palette, and they have two different ones, maybe three. I only saw two at my Walmart, but it could have just been that one was missing. So there's two or three of these, and I got the one that has like the corally blush in it and a like cooler contour and then like this creamy beige highlight. I swatched all of these last night on my hand and they seemed really nice and really pigmented. So that's what I'm using on my drugstore side for my blush, highlight, and contour. For my highlighter, blush, and contour on the drugstore side, I found this Rimmel Kate Moss contour palette, and it comes with a blush, a contour, and a highlight shade. And I got the one that's a little bit more on the peachy side. They had two or three there, but this one seemed to like appeal to me the most. And I swatched all of these last night on the back of my hand, and they were really nicely pigmented. So that's what I'm going to be using for my drugstore side. For my high-end side, for the contour, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Cocoa Contour Kit, and I'm just going to be using the contour shade in there. For blush, the closest thing I had to the Kate Moss Coral Blush was this one from Bobbi Brown, and it is called Pastel Peach. So that's what I'm using for my blush. And then for my highlighter, I'm using my trusty Mary Luminizer by The Balm. Alright, so I'm going to first pick up the contour shade in the Kate Moss palette. I'm using my Zoeva Luxe Sheer Cheek Brush. And we're going to see how this does on... Oh, it's actually very nice. Look at how nice that blended out. Wow, I'm actually kind of shocked. That did really, really good. Okay, I'm very impressed with that. I guess now I'm going to try out the highlighter, which seemed to be really, really pretty when I swatched it on the back of my hand. It was definitely more of a subtle highlight, but actually that's not subtle at all. Holy crap. Look at that, you guys. Oh my gosh. This is awesome. You guys need this. This is like legit. By the way, I bought another highlighter just in case this one in here was bad. I bought this Hard Candy like glow kit. These are terrible. Do not pick these up because they are not pigmented. They are just like balls of glitter basically. So don't even go down that road. Oh my gosh. That is like the prettiest. Look at this. Holy crap. I'm like blown away right now. I can't even deal. Okay, so now I'm just going to apply a little bit of the blush, and it seems to be pretty pigmented too, so I'm just going to pop that on the apples of my cheeks. This palette though, like, yes, honey, yes. This is like the first thing that has really blown me away at the drugstore in a long time. I'm so impressed with this. Alright, so I'm going to pick up the contour shade in my Too Faced Cocoa Contour Palette, and I'm using a Sigma large angle contour brush, and we're just going to do the same thing. These are actually very similar in undertone. I would say the Too Faced one might be a little bit on the cooler side, but nothing that you could probably detect, you know, too much. And for blush, I'm using Bobbi Brown's Pastel Peach. Honestly, I like this palette like so much better. Like, this has all 3 of your products in it. You don't have to use a separate product or anything. And I had to use 3 products just to achieve this side right here. So now I'm going to go in with my Mary Luminizer. Obviously, we know this stuff is super pigmented, but I mean, look at this. Like, I don't know, that looks better to me. I'm not hating on Mary Luminizer. I still love my Mary Luminizer, but dang, this side looks so much better. So much better. Okay, for brows, I picked up the Maybelline Brow Precise Studio Pencil in the shade Blonde. I got blonde because medium brown looked really, really dark. So this looked like closest to what my natural brow color would be. And then of course I'm comparing it on the high-end side to my Anastasia Perfect Brow Pencil. We will see how this goes. You guys know I love my Anastasia pencil, but I am going to give this little guy a shot. I can already tell right off the bat that this is a really creamy formula. I don't love that. I prefer the brow pencils to be a little bit more on the hard side, but that's just first impression. I do not love this color. Do you guys see how this is like, it's pulling my brow color really like yellowy for some reason. Okay, so I don't really love this brow pencil. It's very soft, and I feel like it's gonna rub off because of that. Like, I feel like it's not actually going to stay on my brows. The color is also very yellow. I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but maybe I should have just went with the dark brown one. I don't know. But I can tell you this right now, it is not going to be the same color as my Anastasia pencil. That's one thing I love about Anastasia, is her pencils are always more on the ashy side. They never pull yellow or red like a lot of drugstore pencils do. So yeah, I may have to fix this, you guys. I don't know if I can deal with the yellow that's coming from the brow there. Okay, do you guys see the difference in that? Can you like see what I'm talking about? How this is just so yellow? I'm gonna have to fix it. I mean, there's nothing else I can do. I can't have like mismatched brows, so I'm just gonna try to run my Anastasia pencil through it and see if that will tone down like the yellow. Gosh, it's not working. This is about the best I could do for my brows. You can still see this side's a little bit warmer. But yeah, this is just definitely a no-go for me. I would not suggest this pencil, or at least this particular color in this pencil, because you can still see. You can see how yellow it came off. So moving on to eyes, for my drugstore side, I have the Wet n Wild Au Naturel eyeshadow palette. This is very similar to the first Urban Decay Naked palette. I don't have that palette, so the closest palette that I had that was similar to the colors in here was the Steal It in the Lights palette, and I know that this one was discontinued, but that's the closest that I have, so that's what I'm gonna work with. After I swatched these last night on my hand, they did not seem to have the same pigmentation that the normal Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes have, you know, like their trios and their quads and those eyeshadows. These don't seem to be as pigmented, but we will see how it goes. I'm going to take this taupe color, this matte taupe color right here, and I'm just going to start blending this out into my crease as a transition shade. They definitely weren't as pigmented or like buttery smooth. They definitely seem to have a different formula to them, but they still, for a drugstore eyeshadow, they still had a pretty decent color payoff. Can we just not judge this brow right now? It is genuinely messed up, like, for the remainder of this video, but we're gonna make it through. Okay, so now I'm gonna pick up, I think, this dark matte chocolate color in this palette, and I'm just gonna pick that up with my Morphe M433 brush, and I'm gonna work this into my outer corner. Now I'm going to pick up this shade in the palette. It's very similar to YDK from the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. And I'm just going to use the actual applicator, and we're just going to pop this on the center of the lid. Actually, it's pretty pigmented. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this light shimmery color just to highlight the center of my lid a little bit more. For eyeliner, I'm using my Rimmel Scandalize eyeliner in the shade Brown, and I'm just going to trace this across my upper lash line and also line my under waterline. Mix that matte brown, or the matte dark brown, and the matte light brown with this pencil brush, and I'm going to use that to smudge out my lower lash line where I've just applied my eyeliner. For mascara, I'm using one of my recent favorites from the drugstore, which is the Maybelline Colossal Volume Express. This is my drugstore eye done. I'm actually really impressed. The only thing that I had trouble with was the Rimmel Scandalize eyeliner, which is really weird because I used to love these. I used to use these all the time, but this one seemed to almost be dried out. It was really tugging on my eye, so I don't know if I just got a bad one or what the deal was, but this is the look for the drugstore side, and I changed my eyeshadow palette for my high-end side. I was going to use the Stila in the Lights, but I feel like the colors in my Lancome Audacity and Paris palette will be a little bit more like close to the colors in here, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to pick up, the only thing is that there's not really a good crease color in this palette. I guess I'm going to pick up maybe this like soft, maybe mix these, like these soft taupe browns for my crease color. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. For my outer corner, I'm picking up this dark chocolate brown, very similar to the one in the Wet n Wild palette. And I'm basically just going to do the same thing that I did on this eye. I'm just going to try to match it up. I'm picking up this shade right here, which is really similar to the one that I used on this side of my eye. It might just be a little bit lighter, but we're gonna see. It's not really as pink as this side. It's a little bit more on like the silver side, but I don't know, I guess it will work. I mixed a little bit of like this purpley shade on top of it, and it seemed to kind of like even it out to make it a little bit more close to this color right here. For my high-end eyeliner, I'm using my MAC Eye Kohl in the shade Teddy, which is like my everyday go-to, and I'm just going to mimic the same shape that I did on this eye. And to smudge out my lower lash line, I'm using that same dark brown shade from the Lancome palette. And mascara, I'm using my Too Faced Better Than Sex. You guys know this is my favorite of life. Drugstore lip, I have the Rimmel Lasting Finish Lip Liner in the shade Natural, and then I got the new Revlon Ultra HD Matte Lip Color. So I'm going to go ahead and line the half side of my lips and then go ahead and fill it in with this. Inside, I'm using my IT Cosmetics Your Lips But Better Lip Liner in Buff Nude and the Clinique Chubby Stick Intense and Curvious Caramel. I feel like it's not going to be an identical match, but we'll see. If not, then I'm going to try to find something better. I definitely feel like my Clinique Chubby Stick is a little bit darker. I wonder if I add a little bit more of this Revlon, if it'll like deepen it up. Okay, I took my finger and tried to lighten up my Clinique side because I felt like it was definitely a little bit darker. This is probably the best that it's gonna get. So this is the final look. So this is the drugstore side. I absolutely love this contour little trio from Rimmel. I mean, I feel like this just made the entire look amazing. I also really liked the CoverGirl Loose Bronzer. This was really pretty. It gave my skin like a nice healthy glow, and it has a little bit of a shimmer to it. And this is the high-end side. I'm not gonna lie, I think the drugstore side looks so much better. I don't know if it's just this, like, because it looks so sculpted and highlighted and just really fresh. I don't know if that's it, or if the drugstore side is just like, just popping a little bit more. I don't know. But yeah, just to give you a closer look at the high-end side, this is the high-end. Looking in the mirror, as far as like the foundations go, very similar. I mean, the Rimmel foundation and the Lancome foundation, just looking in the mirror, like they look so similar. But like I said, I'm going to give you guys an update on the longevity, since they both do claim to be 24 or 25 hour wear foundations. I'm going to put an update in the info box down below for those of you who are curious. But this was super fun. I wasn't expecting this to be as fun as it was. I'm really glad that you guys requested, you know, more affordable products and more drugstore products, as I do understand that not everyone lives near an Ulta or Sephora. I don't live near Ulta or Sephora, and not everyone has it in their budget to spend $50 on an actual foundation. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, or if you would like me to continue doing the high-end, you know, versus drugstore videos, then let me know in the comments down below. And I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye.